So Nathan, it's another defeat for Whitby Town this afternoon. It's one of those games where it felt like we could have played all afternoon and still not found the back of the net.
Yeah, it was disappointing. We've created chances. It goes without saying. Just not being good enough in front of goal. Football's about putting the ball in the net. If it was a boxing match, it would have been over. But fair play to them. They've caught us on a counter attack. But we've got to look at ourselves. We just weren't good enough in front of goal, and it looked like we're lacking ideas when they're putting the two banks of four behind the goal, 5 at times. Just not good enough in front of goal.
No, and then looking at Witton's goal, what were your views on that one?
As ever, there was errors in the build-up to that. We had stern words at half-time with the individuals involved in that, because we need to be better. The big thing is when you've got lots of possession and you're creating chances, you're always liable to that sucker punch if you're not concentrating and focused on what's going on around you, and that's where the goal came from. It happened 3 times in the game. Luckily, they've only scored 1, but it was a catalogue of errors really that we should have done a lot better on.
Yeah, and after Witton went ahead, that's when they sort of turned into this game of having those 2 banks of 4, as you mentioned. Just before that, Whitby creating a few chances. They'd be disappointed that they didn't bury those ones before Witton took the lead eventually.
No doubt. It was, Gilesy, I think after 3 or 4 minutes, he's a great interplayer, and he's one-on-one with the keeper. He's scuffed it, and just our look at the moment, the keeper's kind of scooped it over the bar and onto the top of the net. So that was the start of what was to follow really. Josh has got in a few times. Johnny Byrne missed one. Giles' header towards the end there. I mean, good chances. We can say the keeper's had a good game, but I think everything's been down his throat. He hasn't had a lot to do really. So yeah, chance goals change games, and I think if we would have scored in the opening exchanges, I think we would have had a very different game, because it's them chasing the game then and not holding on to a 1-0. So yeah, it's just unfortunate.
And when the team news was announced, we noticed the change in shape. Was that something that was always in the planning in this week, to try and change performance from the midweek game at Buxton?
Yeah, well, listen, Buxton, we done well for 45 minutes. I would go on record and say we were probably the better team, and again created chances, just didn't put them away. But there was obviously the wheels kind of fell off for a period in the game, and we just thought, look, we're at home. We need to score more goals. The record books would tell us we're not scoring enough. We've got our 3 strikers on in Fewster, Giles, Hayes, Josh McDonnell there. There was more than enough to obviously score goals, and whilst we've created them, unfortunately, we haven't put chances away. So the idea behind it was to be a lot more attacking than what we have been, and to hopefully score goals, and as it is, we've drawn a blank.
Yeah, and then just looking ahead, obviously the next game back here on Tuesday night, it doesn't need any hyping up against Scarborough, and that'll be, I suppose you'll be viewing it as a perfect opportunity to try and get a few goals and 3 points as well.
It is. We've said that in the change. You don't need to raise your game for Scarborough, but we're coming off the back of obviously 3 defeats on the spin, which is in great form. People on the outside might look and think things aren't quite right there, but I've gone on record and said it. You can very easily win 3 or 4 games on the bounce, and you can go and reverse that and lose them on the bounce. But I think the important thing is for us, we've got to bounce back, and what a better game to do it than Scarborough. So that's how we're looking at it.
Yeah, and again, decent crowd in today is one you'll be looking forward to. Hopefully an even bigger crowd again on Tuesday of that local rivalry at stake.
The support's been fantastic all season. Numbers have been there, and we can hear the crowd. Even at defeats like this, they're clapping us off the pitch. So credit to the fans for that. And again, it's no different from the playing side. It doesn't need any introduction. Scarborough are expecting obviously a healthy crowd, and we're going to need the crowd to get behind us. They'll be followed in good numbers. But no doubt about it, it's going to be a full-blooded derby.
Thank you very much, Nathan.